this is Dr. Pat, and we're doing now part 4 of the product and quotient rule. Just going to try a couple of word problems, and we'll see how the two word problems I'm doing are very, very similar. We're going to see a little slightly different approach on how we actually solve it. Very similar to what I've been doing with the examples for the quotient and product rule. So hopefully it'll make some sense. All right, so here's your word problem. Take a moment, read it over, and we'll talk about it. Okay, now when I read a word problem, one of the things I do is I cheat. A typical math word problem, go to the last sentence, and that basically tells you what's going on. It does the question kind of thing. I mean, I'm seeing in this problem two straightforward formulas, some equations there, but really what's telling me is always the question. And so in this question, some of the key words I'm looking at is how fast. I'm seeing revenue, and I'm seeing the number 10 for the 10 months. So basically, that combination, how fast the revenue is changing, that's telling me I'm looking for a derivative. I'm looking for the derivative of the revenue function. And then when I get an answer, I'm going to plug in 10. So I'm looking for R prime 10, because that's basically what I'm thinking is going to happen, because I want to know how revenue is changing. So R prime. And then we got our 10 months, so that's why I'm plugging in a 10. Okay, so now the other pieces of information we have a nice quantity function, and we have a nice price function. And so our goal here is to find R prime of 10. And what do we know? I know this nice revenue formula. Revenue is price times quantity, P times Q. So basically, I was given two formulas, one for P, one for Q, and I just plugged those in. So I got my formula for P, my formula for Q, and so I want to develop, my goal up here is to come up with R prime 10. I have a formula for R, so I want to find its derivative. Well, I'm looking at two things multiplying. So to find the derivative of two things multiply, I do the product rule. And so that's what I'll be looking at. I'll be taking the derivative of the first piece. I'll be taking the derivative of the price function, leaving the quantity alone. Then take the derivative of the quantity and leave the price alone. And that's what I'm seeing here in the highlighted blue there. I've got the derivative of the price and the derivative of quantity, and then each other piece left alone. And so then basically, that's what I've got for my derivative. That's the product rule. My derivative is done. But I'm not done with the question. My derivative is done. My next step is to find R prime 10. So let's plug 10 in. So wherever I saw the T, I plug in 10, do all that calculation, crunch it all out, and I get an answer of negative 295,000. So what does that mean? That basically means our revenue is going down because of the negative. $295,000 per month. And that's after the 10th month. So we're sitting here at the 10th month. Our money's going down. Revenue's going down. So during that 11th month, not going to be looking good, because at the 10th month, when I plug 10 into the original revenue formula, I'm at 350,000. So if I'm going down at the rate of 295,000, at that 11th month, I'm only going to basically looking at something like 55,000 as my revenue for that 11th month. Still making money. I'm still making $55,000. It just all depends. What's my cost for that 11th month to see if it's healthy for my business to stay around. So that's the first example there. We're just finding derivatives. We're using the product rule because revenue is price times quantity. Okay, for the second one, gonna variation of the same thing. Take a moment, read through it, identify the key pieces of information. Okay, so hopefully as you went through this, you're kind of noticing the same kind of information I have. I saw the number 50, and so that's telling me I've got a quantity that's 50. So as I'm reading through this, kind of keeping track of things. And then also I see some special words. Number one, we're talking about sales, so the quantity, my quantity, we're dropping. That means a negative rate of 2 cases per week. So I got Q prime is -2, just from those words. And then in that next sentence, we're talking about the price. So the price is going to be 450. So I've got a p-value that's 450. And then in the next sentence after that, we're looking at dropping sales again, and we're reducing the price. So I'm seeing reducing the price. That's telling me that my price is going down. It's changing, so it's going down, so it'll be negative. So I'm looking at a p prime that's equal to -5. So when I'm reading through this problem, that's the information that I'm picking up. And then the question here is asking how fast. Ooh, a how fast question is a derivative, and we're looking at how fast revenue is changing. Well, how fast is revenue changing? Once again, I want to find r prime. But I don't have a particular time. So I don't have formulas and I don't have like a time going on. So it's a little bit different than that. So you might be thinking, oh my gosh, do I have to do a whole bunch of algebra to come up with the formulas for quantity, then come up with the formulas for price? You could do all that algebra. We have the technology. We got the information. We can make some equations of lines and all that good stuff. But I'm going to say, don't make those equations, because we're going to use some of the power of mathematics. So sometimes you can crunch it out with formulas, creating the linear functions, put them together, or sometimes you could really just use the abstract formula. Okay, so what I've got here is r is equal to p times q. We both know that. We know what's going on there. But what I'm saying in this case is, can't we just take the derivative right now? I mean, can't we just go derivative of p times q and then p times the derivative of q using the product rule? And we can. So we can basically say, hey, we've got these formula. If we want to do the derivative of revenue, we can do the product rule, and we can make a new formula for the derivative of revenue. And so that's what we have. And then throw in the information that we've got from the word problem. We've got a quantity, we've got how quantity's changing, a q prime, we've got a price, and we've got how price is changing with that p prime. We've got numbers. We can put all our numbers right here in this formula. And so by using the product rule straight up on p and q, which some people might not like, but it's actually saving us a bunch of time, because now we just do a quick little substitution, plugging in that p prime, the q, the p, and the q prime. Just plugging those numbers in, crunching it out in my calculator, and I got a negative 1150. My revenue's going down because it's a negative value, and it's going down at 1150, 1,150 unit or dollars per whatever time frame we were looking at. And so that's what's happening to my bobblehead dolls there. Negative rate, revenue's going down. Okay, hey, hopefully that does the product and quotient rule. Got some examples here, some word problems. Hopefully it has been helpful. Talk to you later.